Hey, hi guys. This is Yash Dahankar, co-founder and CEO of Acknowledger, and we have really special guest here, Simon from DSID. And we keep this podcast every Wednesday. We have been doing it since the first Jan, like the first week of Jan of this year, and we have taken the pledge to do it consistently throughout the year. So far we are in December, so now only 3 weeks left. So we are really excited for the last month of this series. This podcast kind of started with Twitter Spaces, evolved into other mediums, and now we have this live streaming where we realize like video content is more interactive and it stays for a longer period, and we can understand things in a better way, and even you can listen and learn in a far better, superior way. So this is what this journey is all about. And Acknowledger, we have been the other idea is we want to directly connect with the community directly and answer their questions. So this is another second thought process behind this podcast. So every week, one of our founders comes and we speak and get experts, entrepreneurs, investors, KOLs, influencers, and talk about different ideas, what's happening, and learn from them, learn the insights, get the alpha. So we have Simon today, and Simon, can you please quickly introduce yourself and how you got into starting DSID? Like, what is your
Yes,
story here?
of course, Yash. Thank you for inviting me. First of all, happy to be here. My name is Simon. I'm 27 years young still. I'm originally from Germany. I'm based in Bulgaria, but traveling a lot, so living the nomad lifestyle as most of us do. I used to work in venture capital before, but then I decided to switch seats to the other side of the table, go to the sell side again. And that was last year. Together with my best friend, we started Digital Social ID. We are born by the Blockchain Founders Group Accelerator Program, a German-based venture capital fund who's running a really good accelerator program. And they basically incubated and accelerated the idea. And today we're live since almost half a year now, I would say, with the first product version. It's our alpha version. We launched on a blockchain called Concordium. We can talk a little bit about that, why on Concordium and what are the specifics about Concordium, especially in regards to identity. And DSID itself, it's definitely our child. It's still growing. It's still small. It's a baby, but we just reached a very good milestone today of our first 500 active users. And I think this is the first step towards a larger journey. And we're on a mission to deliver better reputation frameworks for the internet, because I believe, or we believe strongly, that digital identity is something that hasn't been solved yet in the internet era, not in Web 1 and not in Web 2, but with Web 3 and blockchain, we have a new set of tools in our toolbox that we can use to really achieve a self-sovereign form of identity for the internet, where you are the master of your data and you can decide what to show to whom and when. And we are building on top of those principles at DSID with a strict focus on reputation. And what that in particular means, we can also dive into that if you like, Yash. But I think for the intro, that gives enough context about myself and DSID, I hope.
Awesome, Simon. Thanks for the intro. And something really interesting that I want to know more about you is like you have been an investor and like a VC. You used to work at a VC fund, and then what made you change the sit on the other side of the table? Like, what was
Yeah.
that aha moment? When
Mm.
you felt okay, no, I need to start my something of my own. Yeah.
I can, if I may, I give you a little anecdote at that point to explain this decision better. In my former life, where I've not been in finance and not been in tech, I used to work in health clubs and fitness clubs in my early 20s. I used to be a trainer, personal trainer. I had my own brand even. And when I saw other trainers that didn't really follow their own gospel. So, they didn't train, they didn't eat good, but they made their clients eat good and train. For me, that was always a lack of authenticity. I didn't really, I think if you preach to other people what to do, you should do it by yourself as well. So that was always that's the first time I learned this kind of concept, and now I'm still embodying this. So I always try to lead by example. Why do I tell you this? Because I think as a venture capitalist, you should know what it's like to be a founder. You cannot start in your early 20s. You can, but I think it's not the best way to start in your early 20s right after graduation, as I did. Jump into a VC job, and look at those companies from the outside, look at the founders from the outside, and judge them based on your learnings from university and as an investor. But you never really walked in their shoes, so you can't 100% understand their problems and struggles. And the VC is not only someone that gives you money. A good VC is also someone that knows what it means to be a founder and knows the ins and outs and can help you. So to be a better venture capitalist, I think you should first have some experience in founding something. I had this moment last year when I realized that as well, and I thought back to my personal trainer career, and I was like, okay, maybe I should first be a good example as a founder. I should definitely have an exit in a company that I lead, and then I can go back to the sell side, to the buy side, and I can go back to the VC job. And that's my larger picture, by the way. I'm looking to do at least one exit, maybe two. Feel the entrepreneurship spirit, and then go back to the investor table, right? And invest in nice projects and help them with my learnings.
Absolutely. I think I have been to the all sides of the table. Personally,
Cool.
started as a retail investor in the Web3 space, then being a founder, and then started investing as an angel. Then signing bigger checks, looking at all the sides of the table, understanding how you think, and even launching projects from the scratch and getting all the perspective, like say what investor looks at
Mm,
how at the project, and then as a founder, what are the things that you need to take care. So that is something really really interesting, and I think that makes so much sense.
yeah,
And a lot of the investors, I sometimes feel they should have started their own venture. Some investors when I meet them, because they
yeah,
don't understand few things. I think the best investors are kind of the entrepreneurs, ex-entrepreneurs. They
mm,
they have created something of their own, and they are far better at advising or helping you
yeah,
out compared to anyone
yeah,
else. So yeah,
yeah,
this has
yeah.
been my
If
experience so far.
if you just want money, then you can find that in an investor. But most startups, especially startups, right, early stage projects, they need more than just money.
Yeah, absolutely. Awesome. So, Simon, now coming to the DSID, and I think you talked about launching some on some network as well. So, can you tell us more about it and how you started in this specific idea?
Yeah,
What made you, like, because there are so many things that you can build.
yeah.
So, why you chose this?
There are two components to this question. Why I chose this. The first is that I just have um, the feeling that something is missing in the internet, and it's a better system for identity data, broadly speaking. That's a broad topic, and there are many companies working in this whole digital ID space. Some of them are blockchain enabled, some of them are traditional identity projects, right? And they all follow this kind of broad, bigger goal. And I saw that even before DSID, I was like, okay, it feels like we could do better. We have accounts on all those apps. They all have my data, but it's scattered and fragmented around on 50 different apps. I always have to put it in again and tell them about me and give my data to them every time to different people, different corporates. Then we had like this revolution of single sign-on where you can carry around your Google login, which is great user experience. You just click one button and you're inside of an application. It's great. Like this was for me, it was like, okay, this is really cool, but still it doesn't fix the problem of me being able to decide what other people can see of myself. So it doesn't really come along with privacy goals, and it doesn't really fulfill your right to own your data in the end of the day, right? And I saw those problems always because I'm navigating the web since I'm a small kid, right? So I grew up with this in the back of my mind. And as an entrepreneur, or someone that at least thinks like an entrepreneur even before being one, I saw an opportunity in the space. I saw a problem, and I saw people who could, have a better solution for it. And I wanted to be active in the blockchain space, and all those things came together. And I talked to my friend and I told him, okay, let's build in that area. Let's build better identity frameworks. And then there's a second component, which is one key moment where I realized that this whole reputation space is so interesting. And this is literally over collateralized loans in DeFi. It's very simple, primitive. By now, we all know how shitty it is that you have to over collateralize double the amount to because of the health factor of your collateral. Usually, it's double of the amount. Um, so it's right now we do have lending and borrowing in decentralized finance, which is great, but it's not at all thought to the end because it's loans for people with money, right? But what about the people without money who who normally need a loan? So right now DeFi is serving traders and people with big bags already, right? But to make this mass adopted, we need to have some sort of identity and reputation framework. And if you can show to the D app that you have a good track record, i.e. reputation, then the protocol could treat you different, still governed on code. You still don't need anyone, especially if the identity data is tamper-proof and verifiable. You don't need a human to make a decision if I can get better terms or not. It's all verified by code again. So we can still follow those principles of verify, don't trust, but now we can create better user experiences because I can actually prove to apps who I am and that I have a track record. And this concept was in the back of our head when starting DSID, and we're still following it, broadly speaking.
Awesome. That's really interesting way, and I think the way we will need this, it's really underrated. I think we are still, uh, see, we are not realizing the importance of having decentralized identity yet. It's like the metaverse trend. It
Mm-hmm.
started taking off in 2021. Before that, like nobody asked about what is Decentraland or Sandbox. Okay, but they were building for like 2 3 years.
Yeah.
So this is the it's just the matter of time when it starts picking up and everybody starts listening and studying more what exactly it is. So talking about that,
Mm.
can you tell us about what exactly is DSID and about your product suite, what you are planning to build, and uh, what are your future plans?
Yeah. So in a single sentence, this idea helps you to make your reputation measurable in the internet. And if you think about that sentence, it quickly leads you on the right path. Because if you make your reputation measurable, you need some sort of verifiable credentials that you hold as a user that are basically a proof of things you did. And that's what we do. We help you as a user to prove many things that you did in the internet. It could be imagination can be very big here. It could be good reviews on some platforms like Web2 platforms, job markets, could be booking, hotels, whatever. If I collect good reviews there, this is a sign of a good reputation. But this is just one example. Another thing is in on-chain, you can track a lot of things. You can check, okay, did I always pay my loan back or did I get liquidated? Am I an active trader who's really participating as a kind of a professional trader on a daily basis? This also adds to my track record as a professional trader. And all those kind of data points that are being generated, we help you to basically take them, attach them to your wallet account as a credential to prove that you actually did that. And you can collect those credentials with DSID and aggregate them all in one contextual score. So DSID is doing two things. We'll help you to create those granular reputation credentials. And we also help you to create this holistic aggregated score, such things as you know it from the TradFi industry, where you get a credit score, where you have no idea who has it exactly and how, where's it coming from and what data is flowing in there. We're doing the same shit, but with the Web3 ethos in the back of our mind. Transparent, you have the power of deciding, okay, who can actually see this data that's behind that score. But with that score, you can walk around the internet. It's attached to your non-custodial wallet, and wherever you connect your wallet, the apps that accept the score or the credentials below it, they will quickly understand who you are, not in terms of your name or your identity that's written on your passport, but they understand who you are behind that, which is much more important. What's your track record? How credible are you as a trader? How credible are you as a borrower? How credible are you as a worker? And I can create a lot of use cases on top of this.
Awesome, awesome. And I think even over the period, as we are moving towards tokenizing the assets,
Mm-hmm.
like real world assets, then even the gaming metaverse,
Mm-hmm.
Recently at Acknowledger, we are slowly transitioning from Acknowledger to Dodas. Okay, I think in next few months, Acknowledger will completely rebranded to Dodas.
Hmm.
Dodas stands for Discovery of Digital Assets. So where
Hmm.
we are working on something really cool and interesting. It's kind of one part of the product, a product
Hmm.
suite. As the name suggests, it's kind of a search platform, like a discovery platform, along with two functionalities. First is the calendar, where
Hmm.
say for example, if DSID as a company can post all its event, and even people, community members can post it, anyone, okay, and you have to attach proof or source, and it also syncs with your calendar, like click and it's on your calendar. So
Hmm.
this is one part. The second is the reward. So what happens is when you give any reward to anyone,
Hmm.
like today, like say most of the Web3 projects, when they keep any giveaway campaign on Glim or Galaxy, what happens is there are free loaders who are just there to get the reward rather than you're using your product or actually, you know, uh, you don't get that value. Basically, 90% of them are not there for what you intend, what action you want from them. Okay.
Yeah.
So, but there are people, that 10% who are actually listening to you, are trying your product. So how do you reward that community? So that's where the identity part comes,
Hmm.
which is a really solid use case, especially for games and metaverses. Like a user who is coming back again and again, you can rate those users, and then
Hmm.
you can also reward them from time to time
Hmm.
for their. So I think that's what
Commitment.
Arbitrum
Yeah.
is trying to do. Yes,
Hmm.
like Arbitrum has been trying to do it through the projects that are building on Arbitrum, and
Hmm.
even the users who are coming on the platform again and again based on their activities they are giving it. But there
Hmm.
needs to be a better way to do this. What
Hmm.
I'm trying to say is they have to put too many processes, build
Hmm.
contracts,
Hmm.
trackers. Like it's an entire new project. Like if you are a
Yeah.
small company, not for Arbitrum, but if you're a small
Yeah.
company, it's almost
True.
impossible to build that because it's completely new
Yeah.
project.
You should
So I think
outsource it.
that's where, yeah, I think that's where the DSID comes into picture. I
Yeah.
think what you are building, or the digital identity, you can say, comes into picture, which can be really, really helpful. Along
Yeah.
with that, in general, I want to ask you, for the audience who are listening and the people who are trying to learn exactly about the Web3 identity. So,
Hmm.
how is it different from Web2? Okay, like just a basic question.
Yeah.
And how does it helps people to kind of, like as a retailer or as a user, how does it
Hmm.
helps me
Hmm.
personally?
Yeah. With I think what's more interesting about the Web3 identity stack is exactly what you said. What it can do for me. What is the benefit of it? That's more interesting usually for people than how does it actually work. What's the mechanism behind it? I can give a usually I give workshops like full day on self-owned identity and how this shit works, and it gets quite messy really quickly. And I'm not even a technician, so the way I explain it is usually on a like medium level, technically. But without diving into that stuff, I can say the main difference between the iterations of identity we went through is that now where we arrived now with self-sovereign ID, that's the best term I would use, self-sovereign identity, SSI. It's peer-to-peer, so I can really enable kind of this verification process between me as the one who's holding a claim and the verifier who is verifying that claim and asking if it's true. I can make a direct connection, and I don't need a middleman between that anymore. And this is the like always in Web3. Again, it's about P2P and it's about ownership. So I actually own that data, and no one else. No one is in between anymore. So you can imagine this a little bit. The difference is usually I had many accounts on many different platforms, right? And they all have my data scattered around. Now I have all that data with me, and I connect to those platforms and bring my data with me. That is the best way to visualize this as well, right? Instead of having to log in everywhere and put the data and leave it with them, I actually carry it around with me in a secure place. If the SSI system is set up properly, then I have the ownership over that data, and I can make the final decisions. Who can actually tap into that data? Who's allowed to continually review the data and see it? What do I want to disclose only parts of it, right? Do I want to show you only my my age and not my name and address and everything? Then I can do that, right? With this new primitives. So I think this is at its core the main difference on a high level, right? Without going into the tech.
Yeah, I think it makes sense. And basically, you control your data, which is really important in Web3 because as we are moving from institutions to more decentralized approach, so this is what is the obvious future.
Yeah,
Uh, and while building DSID or in general, like what are the interesting insights that you have discovered, or what is the alpha that
yeah.
you have learned over working building your project? Yes.
Well, first thing, there's a wave coming of identity projects that are succeeding, and this wave is building up right now. And you feel it only if you're in there, if you're riding that wave. You don't feel it if you're at the beach, hanging around. And as someone who's in that space, I see a lot of stuff happening. But we are deeply in R&D. We're deeply in this kind of research and development phase where it's not clear yet what are the real use cases that will take off. What is the stuff that really sticks at the end for the user. But this will come clear in the next 2 years, I'm pretty sure. So it will, build up as soon as we have all this experimentation done and we have our findings of this experimentation, we know what works, then we can scale this up as businesses, right? We're still in this product market fit stage, R&D stage, as identity companies, decentralized ID companies. And if I were whoever, someone else, right, I would pay close attention to that space to not miss anything happening there. Maybe there are projects where you can have financial benefit, right, by being invested in tokens, in equity, whatever. Maybe there are projects that building just a really good use case for you, where you can be the one governing your data instead of others. You should follow them and give feedback to those projects and be part of their early communities, because you will probably use them in future in the next years when they take off big time, right? So maybe you want to have some influence on their development, or just be part of their early communities, as I said. So I think that would be really valuable, because as I'm saying, when the wave hits and when it's there, you might miss the train already, and there's no alpha for you to collect anymore, and you become just a consumer, right, of the tech, which is also fine, but maybe not what everyone wants.
Yes, I think it pays to be the early, especially in the Web3, like
Yeah,
whether it's ordinals or NFTs, DeFi. Those who are early, they are definitely it pays
yeah,
to be early. Uh, Also, what are the projects that are there in the space that we should look forward to, or who is
yeah,
the kind of some interesting people who are building, like, because I think even in
mm,
identity there are
yeah,
different things, because based on my understanding, I'm not an expert on
yeah,
the SSI, you can say, sovereign
mm-hmm,
identity, self
mm-hmm,
sovereign identity, but based on that, like, what are the projects that what are they building, and there are different segments as well, correct? Which I have
100%.
learned. Yes. So, what are the projects? Any interesting projects that are there, and
Yeah,
what use cases that are we working on? Well, I think overall this space is huge. Like
yeah,
everyone is solving some different problem or building on different use cases.
yeah.
Yeah.
If to cut it short, I will just link everyone to my Twitter profile, to the pinned post, because I did a competitive map, or like I call it the ultimate identity and reputation market map, which is a map of all the companies. I couldn't go through all of them right now with you. I can point some out and maybe some key verticals, but if you want to like look into it deeper, just Simon Molitor on Twitter. And the map is on the top of my profile right now. But yeah,
Uh,
there are different verticals. The big one is KYC, right? Right now, that is also something that's being used already. Reusable KYC, where you do like an on-chain KYC, you carry it around with you, and you connect to the apps, and they know you're a human, right? That's a good use case. It's happening. We just did a partnership with Mika Pass, as a company who is doing this really good. And it plays into what we do. We do credit scores and other kind of reputation scores. If you mix that with a KYC check mark, that gives a good value to an app that wants to verify a human, right? He knows, it's a real human and he has a good credit. I can definitely give him other services than all the other bots in my system, right?
yeah.
So that's a use case that's taking off. And another one who's doing a good job is on this that is the platform that we launched on. It's a blockchain, a layer one. It's called Concordium blockchain. That would be my last recommendation. If you're someone that wants to be at the frontier of digital ID, check out Concordium. They've understood that identity is going to be an important part for blockchains. A couple of years back when they started to build the L1, and they have an on-chain ID where you basically have your Concordium wallet, which is not only holding assets, but it's also holding your identity data from your passport in a self-sovereign way, stored locally on your device. No one can tap into that without your consent. So that's pretty cool what they do.
Awesome, awesome. If you want, Simon, you can also share your screen and take you through your analysis if you want. I would love to see. Yeah.
We
And
could
if
do that.
possible, yes.
Even though, Yash, I have to say that I only blocked half an hour for the podcast.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
sorry.
No
So
worries.
we would have to come to an end. So I can
Yeah,
jump
yeah.
in the next call.
Yes, yes. No worries. Understood. So I think on this, I think we are almost done with the podcast. Just one last question. Last, any thoughts or any recommendation or any advice you want to give to our listeners who are currently listening? Yeah.
Play around with the things that exist already. Try out, like, download yourself the Polygon ID wallet, download yourself Concordium wallet, try it out. What happens? Be at the frontier and understand those tech. Go to app.digitalsocial.id, check your credit score, mint it. See what's happening, and it's Web3. Go in the Discord, go in Telegram, and involve yourself if you find it interesting, the discussions. For people who are interested, jump into it and try it out. The more you understand of it now, I think the easier you will be able to use those tools when they really become market ready in the next years. That will be my final advice.
Yes. Awesome. So thanks a lot, Simon, for coming on our podcast and sharing your wisdom and telling us more about
Wisdom.
what is DSID and what you are building. Yeah. So
Sure.
thanks a lot. And to all the listeners, I think we keep this podcast every week. Next week, Abhishek, my co-founder, will be here on the podcast with new speaker, new insights, and thanks a lot, everyone. And we're really excited for the next few months where we'll be planning to launch Dodas. So on this note, I will end this podcast. Thanks a lot.
Awesome.
Keep hustling, keep building, and we are all going to make it. Thanks a lot. See you
Cool.
in the next week.